Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the Decent Christian Talk podcast. Enjoy.
Decent Christian Talk, episode number 76. Hello everybody, I'm Gabe Jones. This is a show by the fans, for the fans. We are so glad that you joined us for this 76th edition of the Decent Christian Talk podcast. Not to be confused with Fallout 76, which also comes out today, ironically, which is actually in our home state, West Virginia. If you're a video gamer, you know what I'm talking about. We actually talked about that video game with Gabriel in a previous podcast. I think it was episode number 74. So you want to go check that out. If you're a video gamer, you probably are excited. If you don't play video games, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Disregard that. But nonetheless, we are so glad that you are joining us. We have a great show for you today. We have Canon joins us today on the podcast, and we also have an up-and-coming artist called Wande on the show as well. We got another episode with 2 interviews. It's a jam-packed, fun episode dedicated to some of the up-and-coming hip-hop artists. Well, Canon's not really up-and-coming, but he is still a fresh face on that scene, and we're so excited to talk with him on this show. And we are so excited to talk to Wande, which is definitely an up-and-coming face in the hip-hop scene. And that is coming later. Before we head into that, we need to talk about our Patreon page. Hey guys, the year is winding down. Next month is Christmas. It's hard to believe. And as the year winds down, unfortunately, we have a couple costs, a couple things that we need to take care of when it comes to producing this show. It does cost money to do this kind of thing, and with your support, we've been able to do it for all these years, and we continue to want and ask of your support. And you can do that on our Patreon page, patreon.com/decentchristiantalk. For as low as $1 a month, you can help support our page. Right now, we are at about $15 a month support. We'd love to get to $20 by the end of the year, and that would really help us out. That helps us continue to be able to produce this show at a high level, and your continued support would not only let us do that, but it would also help us upgrade when we need to. And that's all thanks to you guys. For as low as $1 a month, you can join our team. $5 a month, you get a shout out. Thanks to Marie and Leslie for helping us out. They are on the $5 a month level. And for $10 a month, you get exclusive bonus episodes where we talk about a little more in depth about the interviews that we do. We kind of talk about what went into the interview. We also talk about I don't know, there's a lot of fun stories when it comes to getting some of these interviews, and you get those exclusive stories for $10 a month. And not only are you getting that episode, but you're also supporting the podcast, so we greatly appreciate that. But you can join our team for as low as $1 a month, and that's on patreon.com/decentchristiantalk. Thanks to all those that are already supporting us, and I would greatly appreciate if you could check that out if you haven't already. We are heading into the interviews right now. We have a great interview with Canon. We talk with him about some of the music that he's been putting out. For those of you that don't know, and this is kind of a preliminary talk, Canon was in an accident not too long ago, a few years ago, where he was unfortunately in a place where he didn't know if he was going to be able to continue performing. There was a lot of uncertainty about the future of his career, and you can find that story online. Just if you listen to the interview, he gives instructions about where you can check that out. But it wasn't looking good for Canon for a while, and he recovered, and he's on a good track right now. He has a lot of great singles that he's released this year, and we'll talk about that after the interview. We talk about one in particular during the interview. And we also talked with Wande, an up-and-coming artist. We decided to add an extra little fun interview with her. It's a little short clip, but it's a great way to introduce her. If you've never heard her before, you need to check her out. So without further ado, here is our interview with Canon and Wande.
All right, hit that horn, babe. Let's dance.
Okay, spaz out with my crew. Pistol product, might put snipers on my roof. Yeah. Okay, I feel like Nino Brown. Yeah, they see me coming. Yeah, I feel like Nino Brown. Yeah. Calling me down with the body. Can't shut us down, man. I do it.
So we're here with Canon. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, bro. I'm living.
Hot off the stage.
Yes.
You cooled down now?
Well, trying.
So I know you just put out a single called Nino Brown, and you've been doing all kinds of singles over the last year. I know you're getting ready for a record. Like, what's been going in your head? Like, that's inspiring you to write all these songs?
I think let me speed some people up. You know, I usually don't talk about this all the time because I talk about it all the time.
Sure.
But I think, man, so I had an accident a long time ago, and then I recovered. And then I think after that recovery, I think the Lord he did some things in my heart, my mind. It just became another person. Not the same person, but an upgrade.
Yeah.
I think what ended up happening was the Lord was teaching me some things, just about myself, about the people that I'm around, about my mission, my vision. Why do I do what I do? You know, when I had my accident years ago, and if people are curious to know what I'm talking about, you can go on YouTube, type in Canon, the Grateful documentary, and you'll find out what happened. But I almost died, long story short. And I think after that, man, I realized, man, if I was to leave this earth, what did I leave behind? And, you know, I wanted to be able to say, man, I left behind a movement of people that know the Lord, that know the gospel, who feel free to be themselves. You know, I want people to come together. Our country is so divided right now.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, I had to take off, and I know I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit, but
cool.
I had to get off Instagram for a little bit. I had to get off Twitter for a little bit. I had to get off Facebook for a little bit, because social media can become so toxic after a while. You know, and for me, man, I know this is stuff, the content that comes on it is not always the most encouraging, and it's not always life-giving, and it just makes you look at people that you don't know and judge them, you know, and it makes you think that there's somebody that they're not, you know. And so, you know, so I say that to say, like, God has been giving me a lot of time to reflect, and so in that, I've been writing songs like Nino Brown. If you've never known who Nino Brown is, you can look up the movie New Jack City. Nino Brown is actually a drug dealer, and I tell people I feel like I'm Nino Brown. So the casual listener would probably be like, wait, what? Why is he? You know, and so we have a couple videos to kind of catch people up on what I mean by that. But long story short, Nino had a team. Not every individual who is bad and sinful and corrupt, like all of us. Not every individual who is like that, you know, is like a dummy or idiot. You know, a lot of guys who are really, really corrupt, that we, you know, deem as corrupt, a lot of them are really, really smart, very intelligent. A lot of them you can learn a lot from strategically. You may not want to go down the same path they went to, but you can learn a lot. And what I learned from a lot of individuals who may be seen as corrupt is they get their job done with a team. It takes unity with having a team. It takes a leader with having a team. It takes one mind, one vision, one mission with a team. And that's something that I want to push us as believers to have, is a family, a team, a unit. We got to cut the divisiveness, the divisions. We got to cut the this is the group, the cool group, and then this is like, you know, all the, like, we got to cut that junk out, man. All these little cliques, you know what I'm saying? Now, you know, we all know about like 116 click and all that stuff like that. But What I mean is, and that's in a corporate sense, you know, a clique of believers, and that's all of us as God's people.
Yeah.
But we got to quit the whole like, you're important because you're Republican, or you're important because you're Democratic,
Sure.
or you're important because it's like, no, man, like we all are here with a voice that matters, you know. And so I want to push people to be family, to live as one. I want to push people to be free to be themselves. I don't want us always to feel like we have to assimilate to different groups. We can be who we are. God made us to be who we are. And so, redemptively, He has. And so, I just want to encourage people, man, to know that God loves them where they are. And that, man, wherever you're going, you don't need to go by yourself. Create a team. You have a family that loves you, you know.
I know you don't like talking about your accident because you don't want that to
we can talk
define
about
you.
it. We can talk about it.
You don't want that to define you,
That's cool.
but it seems like that has helped you focus, like,
Yeah.
on you know,
You
some
seem now
things.
more focused than ever.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
said, you're on a mission now.
So
Yeah.
you talked about lending a voice to some things. What are some things that are important to you that are coming out in these songs
Man, bro.
that are dividing everybody?
Man, I mean, well, one, you know, I think one is just the whole, like, the parties. You got Republican Party, Democratic Party. And I'm going to put it like this, man. Like, the church doesn't like talking about politics. Let's just be real. Like, I don't like talking about politics. But the reality is, politics exists biblically. You know what I'm saying? You can't call Jesus king without identifying something political.
Yeah.
King is political. You know what I'm saying? He dealt with politics. I mean, like even we say Lord is political. You know, you dealt with different laws in the Bible. Like Jesus, he had to deal with the laws. It's like, all right, what is the law for the Sabbath day?
Yeah.
He had to deal with politics. You know what I'm saying? Rack, Meshach, and Abednego. Like, they had to deal with politics. They had to deal with, if you don't bow before Nebuchadnezzar's little idol or whatever, like, you will die. That's political. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they went against the law to honor God. And so I say that to say, one, just because we have laws here doesn't necessarily mean they honor the Lord. Your political stance doesn't make you more honorable in God's sight. You know, but that's one thing. But then two, man, people are people, and we come from different backgrounds. We come from different history. You know, I can't get mad at somebody that may come from a different background just because I got friends who are just like, man, bro, I didn't grow up around black people, and that ain't his fault. That's just family just felt secure in a certain neighborhood, and black people didn't go there. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about that. What was that like? You know, because I grew up in different settings. You know, but until we can sit down and have a conversation, you know, we'll always be divided. You know, and so I want to push people to be one with family. I think the things that are pulling us away are the different classes and the different groups, and I mean even the different churches. There's so many doggone churches out here. And we need God's people and God's presence, but the presence isn't the building. The presence is the people, you know. And so if we can get to a point where the people shine light greater than the building itself, we can get somewhere, man. So whether you're Baptist or Pentecostal or whatever, like, man, you are all saved by the same grace, by the same blood, and we out here dripping.
Yeah, we are, especially today.
Yes.
You had a tweet a few weeks ago that says, you will not like this if you struggle with being closed-minded creatively. You're talking about your new album you're working on. What does that mean?
Man, that simply just means, man, like, I'm trying different things. I'm stretching myself creatively. I'm a very melodic person, so I'm trying different melodies and harmonies, and I'm bringing out people that's doing more with their vocals too, vocally, melodically. I'm not just doing a whole bunch of rappity rap. I got parts of that too. I'm not just doing a whole bunch of like hype music. I got stuff like that too on it, but it's not gonna be all of that. And people know me to be a loose cannon.
Yeah.
But I might tone it down at certain parts of this project so that you can really hear what I'm saying. You know, because I think sometimes things are missed over the really hard 808s, and things may be missed with a lot of the hypeness, and you got to bring it down sometimes. And I'm trying to create a difference in the atmosphere when it comes to the sound. So,
cool.
Yeah.
You started out, well, maybe not started out, but you worked with Lecrae really early on.
I did.
If you could tell yourself something back then about something that you know now that would have kind of helped you out back then, what would that be?
something, my man, Bradley Thompson. Or you can just look him up, BJ Thompson. I don't know how familiar you are with Lecrae's lyrics, but on like Jesus, the song Jesus Music, he has a line that says, BJ rolling with me, roll our heads, riding like we doze and know we tipsy. All right, BJ in that line is like his like best friend. All right, BJ poured into me. He also discipled me, and something that BJ always taught me was, and he still tells me today. He's like, you're a mess, but you're deeply loved. And when I was younger, bro, like when I was around Cray and all that, bro, I was the youngest one around. And this is my blood brother right here. He knows, like, I'm a knucklehead, man. Like, I am a knucklehead. I'm always the youngest one around. I'm always the baby of whatever family I'm a part of. I'm always a baby, and I'm always seen as, man, the bad. Like I'm the bad one. I got too much energy, or I'm bouncing off the walls. I'm just that knucklehead, and I'm always making these mistakes. And I was always hard on myself. And then one thing that I realized was I am loved, but I am a mess. But I am loved. I'm deeply loved by the Lord. And my mess will not separate myself from him or him from myself. And so that's something I hold on to, man. I'm a mess, but I am deeply loved. And I ain't heard that from nobody else but my man BJ Thompson. So if somebody hear that anywhere else, they stole it. So
you got a new project coming out. How can people stay in touch with you? I know you say you don't get on social media.
Oh, no, I'm back. I just got back on like 2 days ago.
He's back.
I'm back, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I have to let the Lord deal with me for a little bit, but I'm back, man. I'm back with the people, and I'm back. Trying to get to my good self. So, man, hit me up on social media. I respond. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably what got me in trouble. Like before then, I respond too much.
Yeah, gotcha.
You know, I get distracted by all the responses, but I respond. I talk to you. I hit people up. Sometimes I might even give my number out, which I probably shouldn't do. But I mean, people are real people, and they got real issues, and they need a real person to talk to. And I try to be an individual they can talk to. I ain't no freaking superstar, man. Like, I'm a regular person like everybody else. And so if we need to chop it up, we got to chop it up. And this, you know, I can't spend all day on there, but hit me up on Instagram, DM me if you want to hit me up. You know, hit me up on Twitter, you know, DM me. If I don't see it, keep hitting me up. You know what I'm saying? Hit me up on Facebook, same thing. I'm not on Facebook as much, but hit me up anyway. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Get the Canon, GETTHECANON, Get the Canon, or go to getthecanon.com and you can get everything from that website. You know, my music, my social media, all of that. So, but if you really want to be 100 and funky with it, don't hit that booking button and bring me out to your show.
There you go.
So, got a final question.
Okay. Yeah.
How important is the shoe game in hip hop? Because you're killing it. And you jumped down in the mud puddle.
You're killing me right now. The mud is killing me right now.
You got some strong shoe game.
Bro, I put it like this. These shoes are easy to clean, so that, you know, that's why I chose these. It doesn't take much to wipe these down, but shoe game, man. Hip hop is a culture. And hip-hop has always been big on fashion. The next Jordan that's coming out, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the next sneakers may be out, the next ones or whatever. Like, hip-hop has always been about the look, the sound, the feel. It's a, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a person in and of itself, you know? So, shoes is important, man. Yeah. Shoes, the fit. If the fit ain't clean, man, you got to go back.
Who's got the best shoes in all of 116?
Well, let's question that. Who has the most money in all of 116?
You don't have to answer that.
Who has the most opportunity to pick out what shoes he wants in 116?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I'm kidding. But you know, everybody has their own style. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their own style. Because you can say Cray has the most shoes, but to be honest, like, he may not. Because knowing Cray, he's a giving person. Yeah. So he might give away a lot of shoes. He might not have as many shoes as I think he has, but he gives away a lot of stuff. So, you know, I can't really say. I know a couple of them got a couple Yeezys. I ain't got no Yeezys yet, but you know what I'm saying? Once they put me on the main stage, one day we might have some Yeezys.
There you go. Maybe next year.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, man, but, yeah. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, bro.
City is a vibe, feeling elevated. Glory on my mind, mama, look, we made it. Winning all day. Praise up to Yahweh. Feeling blessed, I'm too saved. Feeling blessed, I might pray, cause.
So I'm here with Wande. And how have you been staying out of the heat? It's very hot this festival season.
It's definitely a very hot time. Interviews have been great, to bring me out of the heat situation. And so, but I'm used to it, kind of, because I'm from Austin, Texas, so it definitely gets really hot down there.
I saw where you just played South by Southwest. How was that?
That was super awesome, especially because I got to do, like, multiple showcases, and so it was really cool just, like, getting the experience, but then also being able to be myself and, like, talk about my faith while performing with super awesome artists.
Had you been there before as a fan before you actually so it's cool to see both sides.
Definitely. I was there as a fan before, like, just growing up, and then so now it's really cool to be there on the performing side.
Yeah, tiptoeing around, eating peanuts. It's fine. No, I'm just kidding. So you grew up in Austin. Is that University of Texas?
Yeah, so I
Longhorns?
I recently just graduated. I actually just graduated from the University of Texas like 2 months ago, and so it's been super
What did you graduate with?
I graduated with a degree in journalism and then another one in public relations and a certificate in business.
So are you going to start writing articles or podcasts, or what are you going to do with that?
So right now I have like a job with a label, and so I don't know if I can like say it, but basically I have a job with a label, and so like that's what I'll be doing for now. So.
Do you feel like you're more prepared? A lot of times people get into the music business because they enjoy music, but it is a business at the same time. So do you feel like you're well equipped to handle both sides of the spectrum?
Yeah, I think just my degree in my university definitely, like, even the PR aspect helped me a lot because I learned a lot just about what goes on and just marketing, branding, all that stuff, and then the business classes too. So I think that definitely helped me get a foot in the door with music because now people value me not just only as an artist but for my business mind. So. Okay,
and then for music, you just recently released Elevated, the song, and so explain a little bit what that song's about.
So Elevated, I just released it, and it's just about having a mindset that's on higher things and to realize that you need to renew your mind every day and just think of higher things because the Lord basically wants us to think on things that are above. And so Elevated just is about having a mindset and a lifestyle that's thinking about the Most High.
Okay. And then you're very young. You're working in an industry that doesn't have there's not very many female rappers or out there. I mean, there's in the secular side of music, there's plenty, but what's it like to be maybe an example to younger girls, and what do you want to do with your music as far as Christian and secular radio?
Cool. So yeah, for me, I think it's really cool, like, to have the opportunity to be one of the few Christian hip hop artists who is a woman, and so I think I use it as an opportunity just to be able to do more and to expand and to use basically the door that's open for me. And so I'm kind of grateful to God for that opportunity, and so I want to basically just be the best as I can and like show people that you can be a woman but also make quality music, and also to women just also show them how you can be yourself in a male-dominated industry but still be successful. And so just beyond the Christian market too, like, I want to just be an example of quality music, so and show people also what it looks like to be a Christian in environments where they might not normally interact with Christians. And so I think it's a really cool sphere to be in the hip-hop sphere, but then also be a Christian.
And who did you grow up listening to, or who are some of your favorites now that maybe not necessarily modeling your music after, but when you're listening to not yourself?
Yeah. So I guess on the Christian side, I love people like Lecrae and Andy Mineo. Like, those have been always like top dogs. So I'm like, okay, well, they know what quality looks like, so I want to match. And then on the secular side, like people like Nicki Minaj and stuff like that, because I feel like she was one of the first examples of like a woman who was rapping and like making moves.
She's very good.
Yeah, and so I think that just definitely helped too, and how we were talking earlier about having a female example. So like, she was my only example on the secular side or period, and so it'd be really cool for me to show people what an example looks like of being a Christian but then still executing your artistry at a high level.
We hear that often from people, just in all different kinds of music, where when they were growing up, they had an example that wasn't necessarily a Christian example, but that's like, we were interviewing DJ Madge, and he said rap music back in the early 90s was something that kind of grabbed his attention, but now he's bringing it back into the Christian spectrum, so I think that's pretty cool. So you also have some Nigerian roots, and I have friends that are Nigerian, and we were going back and forth during the World Cup, but
oh gosh.
Talk a little bit about how it's important to kind of blend, because the world is very divided right now, and whether you're red, yellow, black, and white. So how important is it to stay with those Nigerian roots?
I think it's definitely important because it shows like a different aspect. I think my worldview is different because I am Nigerian. I was like born there, and so it like
really okay.
Yeah. And so it definitely brings like the way I approach things is different, and the way I view people is different because it's like, well, my parents like full blown like Nigerian, super to the core African. But then like I can also relate to like people who are American because I grew up here, and so I think it's like kind of having the best of both worlds and showing people. It gives me an opportunity to be someone who bridges the worlds and shows like African people like, okay, like there's a different aspect to life than what you're living, and then showing also American people like, hey, like there's people in other worlds too. So like, for instance, people think that maybe Nigeria may be like very third world, but then it's like, oh, it's not necessarily. So let me show you a different side of it. And so just being myself allows me to show the different aspects of the world and like bridge the gap between the two.
Are you going to get a sick World Cup jersey? Nigeria had some pretty good ones.
Yeah, I mean the jerseys are pretty popping, but their scores weren't that popping. So
yeah,
they need to work on.
John McKell's my boy. I'm a big Chelsea fan, but so how do people stay in touch with you?
So you can stay in touch with me on social media. I'm super active and will always respond. I love supporters. And so social media is OMG It's Wande. That's OMGITSWANDE.
I love that. So thank you.
That was our interviews with Canon and Wande. We did talk about a single with Wande. We talked about a single with Canon called Nino Brown. He has released a few other singles this year, including We Came to Play, Trolls, It's Not a Game, and You Got Me. You Got Me is the most recent release that just came out around Halloween time. And you can check these singles out anywhere that you can stream music. Again, that's Canon, Canon. If you've never heard him before, you need to check him out. He's been on the scene for a while, but this has kind of been his first releasing his music since the accident. So he's getting back into the game, and it's important to support artists like that, especially if you're a fan of hip-hop. And go check out Wande. She's a great up-and-coming artist, and we need more female voices in the hip-hop community. And I think she's got a lot of potential, and go check her out. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up for you in the Decent Christian Talk podcast, but I think, if plans continue as they are, I think we've got one episode left this year, at least one episode with an interview, kind of a mid-season finale, if you will, and that will be with none other than Michael Tate. That's coming up probably maybe the week after Thanksgiving, if everything goes as planned. Unless somebody, like, I don't know, maybe Tyler Joseph or somebody from 21 Pilots calls up and wants to do an interview. I think we could probably fit that in, but if that doesn't happen, Michael Tate will be our last episode of 2018, except for maybe like a year-end wrap-up that we usually do, where we get a lot of the personalities of the Decent Christian Talk podcast together, throw them in a room together, and we talk about all our favorite releases from 2018. But our last interview podcast of the year will be with Michael Tate, and you'll want to check that out sometime, probably a little after Thanksgiving. And then we will take a break for the holidays like we usually do, and then we'll be back in 2019, hopefully better than ever. Can't believe the holidays are here. Thanksgiving will be here before we know it. We just celebrated Veterans Day this past weekend, and that's an important day to remember those that served. We thank those of you that have served that might be listening, and it's important that we give attention to those that have given that service. Hey guys, we are actually heading to, speaking of Thanksgiving time, the weekend after that is Winter Woods 3, and we will be heading that way. It's outside of Franklin, Tennessee. It's the annual Christmas show that Kevin Max puts on in the Nashville area, and we will be headed that way. We will be there. We were there last year. That was our first year that we got to do that, and it was so fun to hang out with so many people that listen to the show. And we look forward to doing that again. That is on December 2nd in the Franklin area. If you go follow Kevin Max you could probably find a link if you're interested in that. I think he kind of named some members of the band. We got John Mark Painter, Jimmy Abeg, Eric Cole, Aaron Smith. It's going to be a great show, great night. It's kind of like a family reunion of sorts for those of you that have never gone. It's a really fun experience, and it's on, I think it's in a farm or some kind of venue that Johnny Cash used to run. So it's got a kind of, if you're a fan of history of music, you'll greatly appreciate that. But go check that out anywhere Kevin Max is on social media. And we will be definitely there hanging out with you guys, and we look forward to that so much every year. I just wanted to hook that on there before we head off into the sunset, give that a plug, because we enjoy supporting that show every year. Hey guys, we are on Facebook, the Decent Christian Talk Facebook page. We've been running some polls on there, and it's a great place for discussion. Is also on the Decent Christian Talk podcast discussion page on Facebook. We are on Twitter, DC Talk Act 2. That's DC Talk Act and the number 2. We're on Instagram at DC Talk Podcast. Of course, we have a website, decentchristiantalk.com. We have our Patreon page, patreon.com/decentchristiantalk if you would like to support us. And, of course, everything that you can listen to us on, including iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud. We're on all those platforms that you can listen to us, and we would love if you could give us a review or subscribe to us anywhere that you listen. We have over 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. I just checked that the other day. That was incredible to see. But our favorite thing that you do every single time is share the podcast with a friend. If you know a friend that's into Christian hip-hop, check that out, and please hit the share button on your social media page and share it with a friend. Maybe text them the link to the episode so that they can check it out. That's our absolute favorite thing that you guys do, is share it with a friend. And that's honestly, that's probably the best testimony for our show, and that's probably the best way that our show has grown over the years. Hey guys, we will check you out next time. Like I said before, we will be joined by Michael Tate for our last show of 2018. It's our mid-season finale, if you will, and it'll be with Michael Tate. So we'll do that next time. So before that, you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Peace.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. Thanks.